Yeah, and just understanding how the mind works and all these thoughts, right? All these stories, and who's telling them, like what happens, and then studying trauma. For me, the way I view it is during those shocks in our lives, those traumatizing things that happened earlier on, we lock in that age in part of us without being able to process the emotions we felt then. We had to suppress the emotions, and that created a certain identity as well. And the identity has a role with the goal to avoid being humiliated, to avoid being punished by my parents. So I must do what I feel they think I should do. Whatever it may be. We get betrayed by a friend to avoid trusting people without first really vetting them. And therefore, I'm suspicious of the world, right? All these identities that gets created from these traumatizing events, because hurt people, and it's hard to imagine now, having the understanding of how many people are hurt, to imagine too many that are not hurt and not capable of hurting others, even in unconscious, unexpected ways. And then we each have those experiences, and we each have repressed emotion. And therefore, when we repress the emotion, we cut ourselves off from that part of ourselves. So, like anger, we can't deal with it in a healthy way we get traumatized by it from our parents, for example. I know I went through that personally. And therefore, I can't process it myself, and I don't allow myself to like experience in a healthy way, to be able to act from it, to be able to, because there is good actions that can come from anger. But me, I denied it, and therefore it went into, say, my tooth grinding and contributed to that throughout my life as an expression of trying to release that through my energy or trying to process anger and rage. Because it's incredibly rageful, inspiring to recognize what's being done in many ways. Like all these setups to con people, for example, for money, or the way certain industries like dentistry or pharmaceutical medicine and how that works, and just all these challenging things in life and society, that triggers, right, us. And like it's the whole lineage of how all those are created. It's like there's a lot of traumatized people. There are all these industries set up to kind of band-aid, to make people dependent on it because it knows the trauma is dealing with. And then because the trauma has just been there through the ages, through all our warring ages, when humanity was a lot less compassionate than it is now. It's been just a growth period throughout all these thousands, hundreds of years, with all the wars and the traumas that get passed down from ancestry to ancestry. But now we're at a time where we can actually have the energy and the ability and the support to be able to learn to start loving ourselves, so we can actually let go of the energy and recognize what's in the mind, what all the identities, and then start to witness the stories being told, not need to identify it. Like, I'm wrong because I'm not making this amount of money or living this kind of life. All these different ways. I'm whatever. Yeah, not so. And understanding the stories, not taking them seriously, so not holding ourselves for it, so unclenching from that thought process. So therefore, we then change our pattern and our diction to that story that creates the challenging emotions that we can't deal with. So therefore, we can then allow ourselves to feel the emotions, unclench from the story, feel the emotions, and by actually feeling the emotions and not avoiding, denying, filling it up, numbing it, right? All these addictions, all these pastimes that are very normalized, alcohol, smoking, like whatever it may be, any addiction, shopping, money, making money, working, lying to ourselves. Like, I mean, it all comes through in these maladaptive expressions. But if I allow myself to feel the emotions, to realize the story I've been telling myself over and over again, to let that go, to feel the emotions, that releases, I create more space. And then the next layer of dense emotions can come up and I can feel them and let them go. So over time, I can become more spacious and more clear and be what I actually am, which is just, I don't know, the witness to this experience of having a body, of being a person, of having a soul, of experiencing emotions. But the purity of the what we're here to do is just simply to experience and to be, and what we are is love, is creation, is energy. And to allow oneself to be, we can then allow our love to be and in connection to the love that we are. Because who doesn't want to experience goodness with other human beings besides the ones that are so traumatized and so effed up in their relationship with their mind that they forgot that they wanted that at one point. They were babies and wanted to be held and cared for. But many were fucked up. And so therefore their mind, relationship with their mind is so fucked up. So for me, exploring, it's so valuable to explore any field, any like a person's work that's trying to help you understand yourself more, trying to help you in like heal yourself in one way or another, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, all these. So, and it all will add to greater awareness. But through my explorations, it's just so simple for me to now realize, just understanding my relationship with my mind, because it's going to keep coming in. Because I've built up a lifetime of all these stories and judgments. But over time, I've actually learned to let go of them more and more and let more of them go. And now there's space, but there's still some left, maybe lots left. I don't know. I will never be able to tell, but it's about me just being willing to notice when they come in. Okay, like not need to like be in reaction to it, right? Like numbing and chasing after something that's going to help me cope with it, but actually feeling it, actually be willing to notice and recognize and try to understand what it is, right? An old story. This is like this nervous tick. It's like this habitual thing that we forgot we can actually change if we simply tried and noticed we're doing that, like an eating habit, whatever it may be. A simple exploration, a learning, an awareness, understanding how we can simply make an adjustment and make a change, make a positive change. And that's like one with your mind and just being able to, yeah, recognize the thinking that's taking place, how that creates emotion, how we believe the emotion, and that becomes how we interpret our life. And that, of course, affects how we make choices. And the vicious cycles that we've all been on, that we can now look back in our life. Oh, I believed in that. That's why I was trying to fit in that way. That's why I got caught up in those habits. And that's why it became an addiction. And that caused me to judge myself. That's why that hurt me from actually being able to do what I wanted to. That's why I wasted so much time doing this or that, like whatever it may be. Now we can recognize the vicious cycles of thinking, of emotion, behavior, and the contribution to more judgments, more actions that prove our judgments to ourselves. And all because when we were kids, most of us, teenage, we were all like let down, disappointed, hurt, right? And it may not be like bad, ill intention that happened. Like school systems, teachers, whatever it may be. Some people's styles just don't jive with others. So it's not like this vicious thing. Like for me, there's no need to view it as a vicious, evil thing. In that way, it's not helpful because for me, it's about recognizing I'm capable of all those things as well. And I'm not evil, but I'm capable of them. So there's no need for me to judge others who are, doing those deeds as evil. Like it's just for me to understand the mind, just like in ways my parents traumatized me, and now I understand they were expressing from their traumas. So it's just this exploration it's just so valuable to keep exploring for me, and now I can actually connect dots more and more, right? And I'm able to speak about it in a way that makes more sense to me and that flows more naturally and then I realize, oh, it's so natural, so simple to go about this process of letting stuff go by being willing to just notice, yes, do all the things that you're drawn to from your body, from your inner heart, from your intuition, from your curiosity, like physical practices, changing your diet, lifestyle, developing better relationships, creating beauty, adding beauty, allowing fun, allowing nourishment, right? Building community, learning, exploring, creating, all these pieces. That's what we're here for. The exploration of how to like dig ourselves out of the hole we actually chose to dig and step into, but simply because we thought we had no choice. And yeah, it's just being willing to, for me, just keep recognizing the relationship I have with life, because all I have is right now, and this relationship I have with life right now with my mind. And yeah, even the judgment of how I compare my life to others, right? That whole game that was so intense in my experience, and it still is going to come in, sure, but now I get to like witness it and just know it for what it is, and simply uh, be easy with it, not feel I need to be in reaction to it in a negative way, take it in a light-hearted way as best as I can. And over time, just the willingness to do that, I become more capable of doing that and things become more natural. And then I'm not afraid of things happening because it was the thoughts that came up when things happen that caused me to create emotions that I did not enjoy. So by not being afraid of thought more and more and learning to do that, I'm not afraid of changes that happen in life. And then I can actually move forward and pursue the things that will bring more out of me and help me experience more love and creativity and beauty and experiences, and not be afraid of the thoughts coming in that might dampen my experience or create judgments in one way or another. Yeah, it's just such an interesting yeah, experience, right? That we get to have. And just the willingness to explore that I chose it, right? I chose all the challenges I went through and all the blessings that I get to be in connection to that so support me, the good, the bad, the ugly, the weird. Yeah, and to realize, yeah, if I chose it, okay, I can appreciate it. I can learn to appreciate it more. I can learn from it more. I can invite more of it in. And I can actually choose which ones I want to have or how I about going that. But there's always a dance partner of life in the universe, and you never know necessarily who's going to take the lead next, kind of thing. So it's just this beautiful dance with the unknown, moving forward from moment to moment. But for me now, realizing, gosh, it was my relationship with my mind that caused me to interpret all the things that was happening, that caused my experience to be that way. But when I think back and all the things that was happening, um, I mean, it's a lot of it was more neutral than I perceived it to be. I made it. I made judgments of things, but lots of it was. So it's just that whole understanding of how powerful our interpretation of our life is, how capable we are of doing that, and how much that creates our life, so that we really are the creators of our own life, our own reality, just by willing to understand all these pieces of how we experience things, right? Just to recognize we do have agency over how we choose to respond to the thinking that's happening, and be willing to actually consider, I am not in my thinking. I am not this personal mind that comes in with all the fears and the judgments and the dread and the projections and the doom and gloom and the pessimism and the self-hate and the denial and the avoidance, right? But there's this other piece, like the curiosity, the love, the compassion, the understanding, the desire for dignity and respect and mutual affection and care and creation and joy and fun and play and music and dance and love and good food making and eating. I mean, animal husbandry, like just like creating life with life, all the beautiful things that humans have done with life, the dance with life, Mother Nature. Yeah, I identify with that. That makes me feel good. What if it feels good is your truth? Go for it. But be willing to consider also the difference between, yeah, good, the feel good that's generative, that creates more feel goods, and the artificially created ones, right? It's so interesting that whole mysterious game that we came to play with figuring out what's right for us and what's not, and all these games being played with changing, tastes and perceptions and caught in creating expectations and conditioning preferences and ideals and judgments, etc., that create all the challenging traumas and dramas a lot of people experience. So yeah, anyways, awareness. I simply invite you to be willing to, yeah, keep exploring just awareness of how it's working for you, how you're creating your reality. Whew. All right.